Philippines is known for its beautiful natural landscapes that caught attention of many tourists. One of the most captivating places in the Philippines are its historical heritage. Philippines is described as a paradise by the nature lovers that visited here. Its traditions and beliefs also attracts and get the travelers and tourists' attention. The food, practices, virtues, and the Filipino people has always been a spotlight in the Philippines. Traveling is one of the most desired activity all of us wanted to do. It doesn't only take us to see beautiful places, but also teaches us many lessons and realizations. It is also a best way of coping up with stress and to relax. So, if you ever have a plan of traveling, always put Philippines on top list. Let us get to know some of the historical places, heritage, traditions, and beliefs that you might want to go and do when you stay in Philippines. Historical sites remind us of how our country evolved and its people's right. Events that took place in these sites helped build the Philippines as we know it today, making us realize that the past can shape our future. Exploring historical places allows us to remember and learn from the past mistakes and triumphs. And on a lighter note, it's just downright fascinating, especially for history buffs. More importantly, visiting heritage sites help us see our country as a giant classroom. You can learn through adventures by visiting these locations steeped in history. Banawe Rice Terraces. One of the gems of the Philippine landscape is certainly the Batad Rice Terraces of Banawe in Ifugao Province. Its importance is not merely for the fact that it's a site for sore eyes, but that it represents so much of what the Filipino culture and heritage stands for. The terraces were built by the Ifugao ancestors 2,000 years ago, almost entirely by hand, in order to combat the erosion brought about by heavy rains during the monsoon season. When the rain falls, the water will flow gradually from the race to another until the water is evenly distributed to all the rice plants. This irrigation system stands and lasts till this day, a testament to just how hard-working and innovative the Filipino people can be. The Banawe Rice Terraces are a national cultural treasure of the Philippines and are considered to be the 8th natural wonder of the world by many Filipinos. The terraces are carved in the mountains of Ifugao and were most likely done by hand. Luneta Park. Rizal Park, also known as Luneta Park or simply Luneta, is a historical urban park located along Rojas Boulevard on Manila. It is adjacent to the old walled city of Intramuros and is of the largest urban parks in Asia. It has been a favorite leisure spot and is frequented on Sundays and national holidays. Named after Jose Rizal, the park pays homage to Filipino martyrs. It also has a dancing musical fountain show in different colors every evening. Rizal Park is one of the major tourist attractions of Manila. In the middle of the park is the Central Lagoon, a pool lined with busts of Filipino heroes and martyrs, and a dancing musical fountain that erupts in colorful explosions in the evening. Just north of the lagoon is the open-air auditorium, where the long-running and free classical concert at the park kicks off at 6 p.m. on Sundays. There's a free Filipino rock concert here at the same time every Saturday night, while Friday nights see theatrical productions. The Visitor Center has information on performances. Barasoain Church. The Barasoain Church is one of the most iconic churches in the Philippines. The church is surrounded by peaceful surroundings and beautiful views of the area. The Barasoain Church, also known as Our Lady of Mount Carmel Parish, is a Roman Catholic church located in Malolos, Bulacan. The church was built in 1888 and is one of the most important historical landmarks in the province. The church is best known for establishing the first Philippine Republic, which was proclaimed in 1898. The church is located on Pasillo del Congreso Street, corner Don Antonio Bautista Street, Barangay San Gabriel, Malolos. It is an impressive historical church with a genuinely moving facade. The architecture is very traditional and the church is excellent for weddings. The front of the church is truly unique and the view from inside is breathtaking. Tabon Cave Complex. The Tabon Cave Complex and all of Lipuon Point is located on the west coast of Palawan. It is located on a limestone promontory which is visible from any direction for many kilometers and honeycombed with at least 200 caves and rock shelters. This point is called Lipuon by the local people but mark a beyond head on church made from British surveys in 1851. The point is about 104 hectares in and is formed by a number of rounded limestones domes separated by deep chasms. The some 200 caves located in the limestone formation are collectively known as the Tabon Caves. After the main cave called Tabon, so named after a megapode bird that digs its nest into the ground, this was the site to first establish the presence of humans in the Philippines during the Pleistocene. The some 200 caves located in the limestone formation are collectively known as the Tabon Caves. After the main cave called Tabon, so named after a megapode bird that digs its nest into the ground, this was the site to first establish the presence of humans in the Philippines during the Pleistocene. The different cave sites document through a corpus of C14 dates of virtually continuous occupation between at least 50,000 years ago and ca 9000 BP, which have been widely cited because the Tabon Cave is one of the very few sites in Southeast Asia to have yielded Pleistocene fossil Homo sapiens. The data provide new chronological data on the questions of Pleistocene Homo sapiens settlement on the margins of Sundaland. These caves contained an astonishing wealth and as an extensive time range of cultural materials, a flake tool tradition which dates from the late Pleistocene and early post-Pleistocene periods, including a highly developed jar burial complex which appeared during the late Neolithic and continued in the development of Metal Age. Yap San Diego Ancestral House. Yap San Diego Ancestral House, one of the oldest houses in the Philippines, is also said to be the first ever Chinese house built outside of China. Made during the Spanish colonial era, it is a 17th century structure with a combination of Spanish and Chinese influences. Built between 1675 and 1700, the house originally belonged to a wealthy Chinese merchant, Don Juan Yap, and his wife, Doña Maria Florido, together with their three children, Maria, Consolacion, and Eleuterio. In the 1880s, Maria, their eldest daughter, married the Parian Cabeza de Barangay, Don Mariano San Diego. The house got its name from their marriage. The family had become significant members of the society during that time, especially in the field of arts and culture. As a matter of fact, they have taken part in the step-by-step creation of Cebu Sinulog Festival. The house was passed down to Doña Maria's great-great-grandson, Val Mancao San Diego, and his wife Ophelia in 2008. Val San Diego is the choreographer of the San Diego Dance Company as well as an art collector. He turned the house into a museum that features his ancestors' history. Baclayon Church. The Baclayon Church is the church of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception, known as the second oldest stone church in the Philippines. It was made from coral stones and was cemented using the white of over millions of eggs. The church is surrounded with stone edifices that were added way back in the 19th century by the Augustinian Recollects. Boholanos are very devoted to every Catholic church, and the Baclayan Church is one of the proofs to the Boholanos' devotion to their faith. The church complex is strategically located facing the sea and originally has defensive stone walls around. The Baclayan Church was declared as a national cultural treasure by the National Museum of the Philippines in 2010. It has been one of the tourist destination and attractions in Bohol, most especially to those who are Catholic and fond of historical places. The altar of the church is ornately designed, 3 retables, 1 retablo mayor, and 2 other side altars. The church symbolizes the great devotion of Boholanos and faith to God. Mount Samat, Shrine of Valor. Dambana ng Kagitingan or the Shrine of Valor was erected atop Mount Samat to memorialize the gallantry and epitomize the heroic stand of the Filipino and American forces who fought relentlessly from January to April 1942 at the Bataan Peninsula. Suffering heavy losses against the Japanese all over Luzon, Filipino and American soldiers retreated to Bataan to regroup for a last valiant stand. The scene of their final stronghold is Mount Samat. The 73,665-hectare park itself is a part of the bloody battlefield where the Philippines' most intense fight against the Japanese imperial forces took place. Almost half of the combined Filipino and American forces lost their lives in battle. Upon surrender, 12,000 American and 64,000 Filipino prisoners of war fell into Japanese hands. The infamous Bataan Death March and 3 years of cruel captivity awaited them. However, despite these harrowing episodes in history, the unwavering and enduring spirit of thousands of Filipino and American World War II soldiers shone brighter. Even after the fall of Bataan, their gallantry kept the resistance movement alive, which eventually saw the freedom of the Philippines from the Japanese occupation. Every 9th of April, the entire nation celebrates Araw ng Kagitingan, Day of Valor, highlighting the unconquerable spirit of our freedom fighters. The shrine was commissioned in 1967 by then-President Ferdinand Marcos as part of the 25th year of commemoration of World War II. Sheikh Karim Al Maktoum Mosque. The mosque is considered as one of the Philippines' oldest existing Muslim houses of prayer. The new historical landmark is located in Tubig Indangan, Simonol in province of Tawi-Tawi. It is the oldest mosque in the Philippines and was built by an Arab trader, Sheikh Maktoum Karim in 1380. It was first thought that the pillars of the old mosque found within the current mosque are the pillars of the original built in 1380. The pillars of the small white mosque in municipality of Simonol in the southernmost island province of the Philippines are believed to come from the original mosque and are considered sacred. Legend has it there were various attempts to remove the old pillars of the mosque. For some reason, those attempts were unsuccessful. Hence, some old folks thought that those pillars were a source of blessings and people began to take pieces from them and use them as amulets, Professor Wadi told Arab News. The Tawi-Tawi Mosque is a source of pride not just for the little province but the whole region of the Muslim South. Its existence implies that Islam has been deeply rooted in the province, Professor Nasser Kadil from the Mindanao State University said. Corregidor Island in Cavite. Located at the entrance to Manila Bay, Isla ng Corregidor was identified by the Spaniards as a strategic defense location when they arrived in the 16th century. They named it Island of the Corrector, since this was the place where all ships entering Manila would stop for inspection. Since then, the fortress island has been the site of many battles, from the Spanish-American War to the period of American colonialism. The oldest landmark on the island is the lighthouse dated 1853, but much of this lush tropical island is dominated by ruins that reflect the intense fighting that took place in World War II. In addition to defense and battery buildings, there are shops, a movie theater, and a swimming pool, all from the soldiers stationed here many years ago. Intramuros. Intramuros, or the Walled City, is one of the oldest districts of Manila, built on the south bank of Pasig River around 1571. It was built by the Spaniards, more specifically by Miguel Lopez de Legazpi, and is bound on all sides by moats and thick, high walls with some over 6 meters high. Within the vast walled enclosure of Intramuros lie 51 blocks covering a total area of 66 hectares. There are 7 fortified gateways around the walls, granting access in or out of the city. The moat was actually added to the main structure in 1603, 32 years after the city was built. The district contains many hospitals, military barracks, domestic accommodations, schools, 12 churches, and a governor's palace. Thanks to its massiveness and the well-planned infrastructure, Intramuros defied and repelled numerous attacks throughout history. The Dutch, the Portuguese, and the Chinese all failed in their attempts to penetrate the fortress city. During World War II, Intramuros was used as a garrison and prison facility by the Japanese, but Allied bombings resulted in it and other part of Manila being severely damaged and destroyed. At the end of the war, the U.S. took charge of the city and filled in the moat to prevent disease. A golf course has now been built in the place where the moat once existed. The star attractions still include San Agustin Church and Museum, Fort Santiago, Manila Cathedral, Casa Manila Museum, and the Rizal Shrine. Traditions, beliefs, and cultures. There are different traditions, beliefs, and cultures in the Philippines. These are part of being a proud Filipino that amaze the foreign people. If you are planning on traveling in a specific country, specifically Philippines, it is important to know some of the traditions, beliefs, and cultures for you to have idea about them. Anitos. Anito refers to ancestor spirits, nature spirits, and deities in the indigenous Philippine folk regions from the pre-colonial age to the present. Although the term itself may have other meanings and associations depending on the Filipino ethnic group, it can also refer to carved humanoid figures and the tao-tao made of wood, stone, or ivory that represent these spirits. Anito, a term predominantly used in Luzon, is also sometimes known as Diwata in certain ethnic groups, especially among Visayans. Bayanihan. Bayanihan is a Filipino word derived from the word bayan, meaning town, nation, or community in general. Bayanihan literally means being a bayan and is thus used to refer to a spirit of communal unity and cooperation. Although bayanihan can manifest itself in many forms, it is probably most clearly and impressively displayed in the old tradition of neighbors helping a relocating family by getting enough volunteers to carry the whole house and literally moving it to its new location. They do this by placing long bamboo poles lengthwise and crosswise under the house. Traditional Filipino houses were built on stilts and then carrying the house using this bamboo frame. It takes a fairly large number of people, often 20 or more, working together to carry the entire house. All this is done in a happy and festive mood. At the end of the day, the moving family expresses their gratitude by hosting a small fiesta for everyone. Fiestas. The Philippine calendar is full of festivals all throughout the year. The Filipinos call it fiesta, a party where everyone is invited to join. Every barrio, town, province, city has their own fiesta to celebrate once a year. So for sure, there's always fiesta going on somewhere around the country. Rain or shine, good times or bad, it's unstoppable. The fiesta must go on. Filipino fiestas usually have religious relevance in celebration of their town's patron, Saint's Fest Day. They come together in thanksgiving for the past year's bountiful harvest and blessings. While there are also times when the past year's gatherings was not so good and they asked their patron saint for a better yield for the coming year. Other festivals are to give highlight to their own feature product or cultural practice that they are famous for in the country. It may be handmade flip-flops or sausages, a kind of fish, a local pastry, mask, or even a style of native hut, boat rowing, a folk dance, or volcano ritual. Some others celebrate their place's foundation day or anniversaries of important people or events. Anyhow, they are always colorful and lively, packed with entertaining sights and sounds with a lot of food, and friendly smiles for everyone to enjoy. The town usually have a week-long celebration with daily events and happenings which ends with a grand culminating activity on the main day itself. Harana. Harana was a traditional form of courtship in the Philippines wherein men introduced themselves and or wooed women by singing underneath her window at night. It was widely practiced in old Philippines with a set of protocols, a code of conduct, and a specific style of music. In this endeavor, the most trusted instrument was the guitar. Its intimate sound complemented the sweetness of Spanish-influenced song combined with the poetry and lyricism of the Tagalog language and is wafted through the breezy tropical night. For a young man in colonial Philippines, it was certainly advantageous to possess musical abilities as it was often useful in courting a Filipino woman. However, all is not lost if he lacks the singing ability. It was common practice to enlist friends as well as the best musicians and singer or haranista in town. Thus, harana was not always a solitary endeavor. In fact, it was considered a social event. Harana was an exclusively nocturnal practice due to the daytime tropical weather. The evening offers respite from the heat, a time when everybody comes alive, full of romantic ideas and is typical of Filipino nature. Always ready to enjoy the company of friends and loved ones. It was during this old Philippines before the widespread of electricity that harana was at its brightest. Kamayan. Kamayan means hands in Tagalog, one of 8 major Filipino dialects, and is a communal feast where the food is laid out on a bed of banana leaves instead of plates and your eating utensils are your fingers. One of my fellow diners called it the ultimate finger food experience. With Kamayan, there's no formality, no separate courses, and no passing of dishes. Although it's perfectly okay to ask your neighbor to hand you a shrimp from across the table. And because all the food is arranged in close proximity, the flavors can mingle and meld together so that the coconut milk from one recipe plays well with the fish sauce from another. The idea is that eating with your hands in this communal way builds trust and intimacy among all the diners. It also means you can't use your cell phone to post the feast to your social feed. Instead, you are forced to be in the moment where it's just you, the other people at the table, and all that food. Pagmamano. In the Philippines, the traditional gesture is called pagmamano. Pagmamano is similar to hand kissing. The younger person asks for the elder's right hand and presses it on their forehead. This means that they're asking for the elder's blessing and acknowledging their wisdom. It's typically done before entering an elder's home or as a greeting when you met them. Mano po is the phrase used to initiate the greeting. Mano derived from the Spanish word hand and po, a Tagalog word added to a sentence as a sign of respect. Mano po can be translated as your hand please and may I have your blessing. Once the elder gives you their hand, it means that they have given you their blessing, and oftentimes they will respond to you by saying, "Kaawaan ka ng Diyos," which means God bless you or may the Lord have mercy on you. Batok. Batok, also known as fatik, burik, tatak, batik, patik, is an indigenous Filipino tattooing practice where the practitioner marks the skin by hand tapping the ink using bone or wood implements. For centuries, traditional Filipino tattoos called batok were a symbol of beauty, wealth, and strength. The practice almost disappeared under the influence of colonization and modernization. Yet, against all odds, a 106-year-old woman, Wang Ud Ugay, has not only kept the art of batok alive but has also become a global icon of this fading tradition. Batok tattoos are a significant part of Kalinga tribal culture in the Cordillera region of the Philippines. Traditionally, these tattoos were adorned by both men and women, and they held diverse meanings. For young girls, receiving their first tattoo as early as 13 signaled their readiness for marriage. Men earned their tattoos through acts of bravery in head hunting, a practice that was considered a source of pride and honor. Each tattoo told a unique story, reflecting the individual's role, experiences, and aspirations within the community. Christianity. The Philippines is the only country in Asia in which Christianity is the national religion. This is probably the result of the Spanish Catholic reign in the Philippines for more than 300 years. Religion still plays a central role in the lives of most Filipino Americans. Christians are monotheistic. They believe there's only one God and He created the heavens and the earth. This divine Godhead consists of three parts: the Father, God Himself, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. The essence of Christianity revolves around the life, death, and Christian beliefs on the resurrection of Jesus. Christians believe God sent His Son Jesus, the Messiah, to save the world. They believe Jesus was crucified on a cross to offer the forgiveness of sins and was resurrected 3 days after His death before ascending to heaven. Hospitality. In the Philippines, hospitality is a common denominator in the Filipino character. It is not just a mere generosity or friendliness, but it is part of the Filipino culture. It is a gesture that we accept anyone and we hold them with high regards. It is part of the lives of all Filipinos. It runs through the veins of every people. It is something to be proud of, something that we should take honor to the next generations. Scientifically, the hospitality of Filipinos originated from different cultures. As Filipinos, we know we were colonized by many countries with different backgrounds that taught us these things. For example, can you still remember when your mom usually uses the cheap kitchen utensils every day, but when visitors came, she'll get the babasagi na plato at baso, glasswares for the visitors? 4 months Christmas. In the Philippines, Christmas is a multi-month affair, lasting the duration of bare months from September to January. Starting on the September 1st, Filipino households set up their Belen or a nativity scene, hang up parol, a Christmas ornament unique to the Philippines, and radio stations begin playing Christmas carols. It is a time of celebration when parades, parties, and concerts crowd calendars. Unlike the long run-up to Christmas in the United States, such as Black Friday, which often stems from commercialization, in the Philippines it grew organically from Filipino culture. For Filipinos, beer is the celebration of family, faith, fiesta, friends, and fun. The commercialization of this season came later, and the K tenets are still the primary focus. Filipinos attend several masses throughout the Christmas season, the longest and most important one being Simbang Gabi, Dawn Mass, celebrated by Filipino Christians for the past 5 centuries. It is held over 9 consecutive days from December 16 to 24. On the last day of Simbang Gabi, the service is instead called Misa de Gallo, which is Spanish for Roaster's Mass. Afterwards, families gather outside to eat bibingka and puto bumbong. On Christmas Eve, the ultimate Christmas celebration is held, Noche Buena or Midnight Fest. It is a huge celebration where families, friends, and neighbors come together to eat food made for Christmas season. Dishes include roasted pig, queso de bola, kare-kare, spring rolls, various types of noodle dishes, and buko salads for dessert. Afterwards, families open presents together and children receive aguinaldo, cash from their relatives and godparents. Historical places and heritage, as well as the traditions, beliefs, and culture, is an important part of a country. Thus, it is also essential for a traveler and students to know about the past of the country, so you won't just be amazed by its physical features, but also by its past and origins. As a Filipino citizen, I am proud to have this chance to share to you some of our pride. What are you waiting for? Come, visit, and be amazed by the beauty of our country, Philippines. I am Maria Eunice Teresa Cheras, BS Ed Math 1 student from Bohol Island State University, Calapi Campus.